The state of Oregon has effectively shut down small farms and market gardens on a large scale. And they're actually sending out cease and desist letters to farms.
The lush, rolling fields of Oregon, renowned for its abundance of farmland and fertile soil, have suddenly become a place of fear and uncertainty. After something terrifying happened, the United States government ordered the immediate shutdown of Oregon farms, halting production and leaving farmers in disbelief. But what could have caused such a drastic measure? The details of this new development are far-fetched, and the implications could spell disaster not just for Oregon, but its neighboring states. Oregon's agricultural legacy is a tapestry of abundance and diversity, mirroring the state's captivating terrain and ever-changing weather patterns. Long before European settlers arrived, indigenous communities had already mastered the art of agriculture, nurturing crops like camas and wapato, while skillfully managing the land through controlled burns to ensure bountiful harvests. The arrival of pioneers through the Oregon Trail in the mid-1800s ushered in a new era of settlement, giving rise to homesteads and the birth of commercial farming. The fertile Willamette Valley, blessed with nutrient-rich soil and a favorable climate, emerged as a thriving hub for agricultural pursuits. As time progressed, the introduction of innovative irrigation systems and the establishment of robust transportation networks, including railroads, propelled Oregon's agricultural prowess to new heights. The state soon became renowned for its flourishing fruit orchards, expansive wheat fields, and, in later years, its flourishing wine industry. Today, Oregon's agricultural landscape is a captivating blend of traditional large-scale farming and a burgeoning number of small, organic, and sustainable operations. The state proudly cultivates a diverse array of crops, ranging from succulent berries and wholesome nuts to vibrant nursery plants and delectable seafood sourced from its coastal waters. However, these farms are beginning to shut down after something terrifying happened. What caused these events? Oregon, known for its diverse landscape and natural beauty, faces several challenges that threaten its agricultural heritage. Land fragmentation, caused by factors such as urbanization and development, has led to the loss of large tracts of farmland across the state. This issue is further compounded by water rights issues, which can impact the ability of farmers to access and utilize water for irrigation and other agricultural purposes. In response to these challenges, the Oregon Agricultural Heritage Program, OAHP, was established to help preserve the state's agricultural lands and support the farmers who work them. Through the OAHP, farmers can participate in conservation easements and other programs that help protect their land from development and ensure its continued use for agriculture. By promoting sustainable farming practices and protecting valuable farmland, the OAHP plays a crucial role in safeguarding Oregon's agricultural heritage for future generations. But are the OAHP efforts enough? Is it improving the lives of these hardworking farmers? Many small and family-owned farms across Oregon are facing significant financial challenges in today's agricultural landscape. The combination of increasing costs, unpredictable market fluctuations, and intense competition from larger agribusinesses has created a perfect storm of difficulties for these farmers. With profit margins becoming increasingly slim, many are finding it increasingly difficult to sustain their operations and make ends meet. As a result, some farmers are being forced to make the heartbreaking decision to close their doors and walk away from the land that has been in their families for generations. The loss of these farms not only has a devastating impact on the families involved, but also on the wider community and the agricultural industry as a whole. It is a stark reminder of the fragility of small-scale farming in today's modern economy. One of the major factors to these shutdowns is the changes in regulations, such as the reclassification of small homesteads as CAFOs that have significantly impacted farmers by imposing additional financial and logistical burdens on them. The shift in classification not only requires compliance with stricter environmental standards, but also introduces new water usage restrictions and legal requirements that can be extremely challenging for small-scale operations to meet. As a result, farmers are faced with the daunting task of navigating through complex regulations and ensuring that their practices align with the evolving legal landscape to avoid penalties and ensure the sustainability of their businesses. Some of these farmers are finding it difficult to cope with these regulations. A good example is the owner of Oak Song Farm, which is situated near Eugene off Lorraine Highway and encompasses slightly more than half an acre designated for agricultural purposes. Over the past 7 years, Del Campo has utilized well water to cultivate vegetables on this property, which she has distributed at farmers markets and to residents. This has served as her main source of revenue. However, the situation took a turn last September when the farm received a letter from the local branch of the Oregon Water Resources Department. The notification stated that the farm was not permitted to water its commercial crops without a valid water right. That is devastating, right? It will interest you to know that water rights in Oregon are a complex and highly regulated system that governs the allocation and use of water resources throughout the state. The allocation of water rights is managed by the Oregon Water Resources Department, which administers a system of permits, licenses, and certificates to ensure that water is used sustainably and equitably. Oregon's water rights system is based on the principle of prior appropriation, which means that the first person or entity to use water from a particular source has the first right to that water. This system of first in time, first in right is designed to prioritize water use for beneficial purposes such as irrigation, municipal water supply, and industrial use. However, Del Campo was taken aback by the news. The idea of water rights made her feel like she was breaking the law by growing food, and it just didn't make sense to her. Nevertheless, in Oregon, water is a resource owned by the government, so property owners need government approval for most of its uses. There are a few exceptions, though. Those without water rights can use up to 5,000 gallons per day for commercial or industrial purposes, but irrigation is not included in this allowance. This double standard is incredibly frustrating for Del Campo. She estimates that she was using less than 1,000 gallons per day for agricultural purposes. Advocates for small farms argue that the exemptions can confuse them, and there is a lack of understanding within the real estate sector that could mislead new property owners. This is where it gets interesting. The letter sent to Oak Song Farm was one of 24 that were sent out last year. The department, to prove what they were doing was right, stated that some recipients of the letter confirmed that they were acting within the law. Is water rights really an acceptable policy? Do these small-scale farmers deserve how they are treated? Del Campo explained that officials use various methods to monitor them, looking for any means for any violations such as aerial photography, monitoring them from space, complaints from neighbors, and on-site observations too. Shockingly, new funding in 2021 has allowed the state to hire more staff to deal with any offender. Following these policies, Del Campo has requested permission to extract and store water from a nearby creek, although she has expressed concerns about the affordability of the necessary infrastructure. The process of obtaining water rights can be lengthy, often exceeding a year if approved. It is becoming increasingly rare for water rights to be granted. Individuals may have invested significant amounts of money and waited 18 months only to be informed that their business must cease operations if they are not lucky. However, in the absence of water rights, small-scale farmers have the option to irrigate up to half an acre for a non-commercial garden. They can also collect rainwater for commercial purposes without needing a permit. Alternatively, they can adopt dry farming techniques by utilizing the moisture retained in the soil from the rainy season. The truth is that farmers in this predicament will need to make significant changes to their operations if they wish to remain in business. Many of the proposed solutions would require more than one season to implement and come with a substantial financial burden. Will these solve all their problems? The landscape of small-scale farming in Oregon is currently undergoing a major shift due to recent regulatory changes affecting water rights and farm operations. These adjustments have sparked fears and uncertainties about the future of family farms and the local agriculture industry as a whole. This has resulted in a surge of legal conflicts and a sense of unease within the farming community, with many farmers feeling unsure about how to navigate these new regulations and what they mean for the long-term viability of their operations. The ripple effects of these changes are being felt across the state, as farmers grapple with the implications of these shifts on their livelihoods and the sustainability of their businesses. As Oregon's small-scale farming community continues to adapt to these evolving regulations, the future of local agriculture hangs in the balance, with farmers and stakeholders alike closely monitoring the situation and advocating for solutions that support the growth and resilience of family farms in the face of these challenges. At the heart of this turmoil lies two contentious matters that have sparked heated debates and widespread concern among farmers and environmentalists alike. The first issue revolves around the broadened definition of concentrated animal feeding operations, CAFOs, which has caused a ripple effect throughout the agricultural industry. The expanded definition has led to increased scrutiny and stricter regulations for these operations, resulting in added pressure on farmers to comply with new standards and requirements. The second matter at the center of the controversy is the imposition of strict water usage regulations, which have further exacerbated the challenges faced by small farmers. With water scarcity becoming an increasingly pressing issue, governments have implemented stringent measures to monitor and control water usage in agricultural practices. However, many small farmers argue that these regulations are overly restrictive and place an undue burden on their operations. That's not all. As a result of these two contentious issues, small farmers find themselves caught in a difficult position, grappling with the looming threat of closure as a result of what they perceive as excessive government interference. The combination of heightened regulations and increased operational costs has placed a significant strain on their livelihoods, leaving many to question the future viability of their farms. The reclassification of small homesteads as CAFOs has caused significant confusion and frustration among numerous family-owned farms in Oregon. This controversial decision, based on vague criteria, has led to many small-scale farms being unfairly categorized alongside much larger industrial-scale operations. The unexpected reclassification has left many in the farming community feeling blindsided and unsure of how to navigate the complex web of regulations that now apply to them. As a result, some farmers have been forced to take legal action in an attempt to challenge this shift and protect their livelihoods. A lawsuit filed earlier this year on behalf of these small-scale operations argues that the definition of a CAFO is excessively broad and unfairly singles out those who are least capable of handling the regulatory and financial burdens associated with such a classification. The state of Oregon has implemented strict regulations that have resulted in the closure of numerous small farms and market gardens throughout the region. These regulations have had a significant impact on the livelihoods of farmers and growers, as they are now facing cease and desist letters that forbid them from continuing their operations. To enforce these regulations, state officials are utilizing advanced satellite technology to pinpoint the locations of these farms and effectively dispatch these letters. This crackdown on small farms and market gardens has sparked controversy and outrage among the farming community, as many feel that their way of life and business practices are being unfairly targeted and restricted. It will shock you what these farms go through. Do you know small farms in Oregon are targeted for a variety of reasons, including their vulnerability to economic fluctuations, limited resources, and competition from larger agricultural operations? Additionally, small farms may be targeted due to their reliance on local markets and community support, making them more susceptible to changes in consumer preferences and market trends. Furthermore, small farms often lack the scale and efficiency of larger operations, making them less competitive in terms of production costs and distribution networks. Overall, the unique challenges faced by small farms in Oregon make them particularly vulnerable to being targeted for various reasons. Compounding the issue is Oregon's stance on water rights. In a move presented as safeguarding groundwater, the state has enforced regulations that limit water usage for irrigation, deeming all groundwater, even on private land, a public asset. The profound impact of these regulatory changes extends beyond the viability of small farms to the communities they serve. Farmers who once supplied fresh, locally grown produce to their neighbors and local markets now face the possibility of abandoning or significantly altering their operations. The legal and financial obstacles associated with complying with the new regulations, such as the lengthy and costly process of securing water rights, are overwhelming for small-scale farmers. The situation in Oregon has sparked a broader debate on finding a balance between environmental conservation efforts and the sustainability of small farms. Advocates for these farmers argue that the current regulatory approach lacks nuance and fails to acknowledge the significant differences between small family farms and large agricultural operations. They are calling for reforms that would enable small farms to continue operating without being threatened by regulations that they perceive as unfairly applied. As legal battles unfold and the state considers further regulatory adjustments, the future of Oregon's small farms hangs in the balance. The outcome of these disputes may establish precedents that impact agricultural practices and water rights throughout the United States, emphasizing the crucial nature of the fight for the rights of small farmers to sustain their livelihoods and continue providing for their communities. This leads us to the question, are small-scale farmers CAFOs? Or is it just a way for the government to control them by recognizing them as CAFOs? Small-scale farmers argue they are not KFOs because they typically have fewer animals and operate on a smaller scale. Also, small farmers often prioritize sustainable and ethical farming practices, such as rotational grazing and pasture-raised livestock, in contrast to the industrialized and intensive methods used by CAFOs. Additionally, small farmers tend to have a closer connection to their land and animals, fostering a more personal and hands-on approach to agriculture. Unlike CAFOs, small farmers are often deeply rooted in their local communities and play a vital role in preserving traditional farming practices and promoting food security. CAFOs are large-scale industrial agricultural facilities where animals are raised in high densities. These facilities can house thousands of animals such as cows, pigs, or chickens in confined spaces. Due to the sheer number of animals nearby, CAFOs often produce large amounts of waste that can pollute the air, water, and soil in surrounding areas. Additionally, the cramped and stressful living conditions in CAFOs can lead to the spread of diseases among the animals, requiring the use of antibiotics and other medications to keep them healthy. The new CAFO laws in Oregon have had a significant impact on small and family-owned farms in the state. These laws, which regulate the operation of large-scale farmers, have placed a greater burden on smaller farms to comply with stricter regulations and requirements. Many small farms have struggled to keep up with the costs of implementing necessary changes to meet the new standards, leading to financial strain and uncertainty about the future of their operations. Additionally, the increased oversight and scrutiny from regulatory agencies have put additional pressure on these farms, making it harder for them to compete with larger industrial operations. In an interesting turn of events, this issue is not only happening in Oregon. California is currently embroiled in a water conflict, as 2,500 farmers are experiencing the harsh consequences of drought restrictions. These farmers are facing significant challenges, as they are left with only 10% of their usual water allocation. The continuous struggle for water access has put numerous agricultural workers in a difficult position, uncertain about the sustainability of their livelihoods under such severe constraints. Adapting to the drought restrictions, these farmers are compelled to seek innovative methods to conserve water, all while grappling with the unknown future of their crops and businesses. Since the year 2000, there has been a noticeable decrease in the number of farmers in California, a trend that is causing worry among agricultural experts and policymakers alike. The rate at which these farms are losing farmers is unprecedented, with many struggling to survive in the face of ongoing challenges. The backbone of California agriculture, which has always been a crucial part of the state's economy, is gradually diminishing, leaving numerous farmers and their families in a precarious situation. However, the main cause for this concerning trend is the persistent drought conditions that have afflicted the region in recent years, making it increasingly challenging for farmers to sustain their operations and remain profitable. Despite what is going on in California, it can never be compared to the crises the farmers in Oregon are facing. It will shock you to know the people behind these crises. The situation unfolding in Oregon is deeply troubling, as it involves a disturbing power struggle where those in positions of authority are blatantly seizing control of people's water sources and enacting oppressive laws. This power grab is wreaking havoc on small farms, particularly impacting dairy operations and chicken coops, which are being forced to close their doors. It is alarming to witness the detrimental effects this power play is having on the livelihoods of countless hardworking individuals in the community. Despite claims of protecting groundwater, the reality is that these actions are causing irreparable harm to the local economy and the well-being of those who depend on these farms for their livelihoods. However, denying that the water has not been polluted by farmers would be deceptive and irresponsible. It is undeniable that the practices of some small-scale farmers have had a detrimental impact on the quality of the water sources. However, it is important to recognize that these farmers are not intentionally harming the environment. Rather, they are simply utilizing water resources to support their livelihoods by growing crops. A setup that would be considered a violation of the regulations does not prioritize sustainable and ethical practices for the animals and the environment. The farmers in question are dedicated to ensuring that their livestock have the freedom to graze and roam, which in turn leads to healthier and happier animals. Their attention to detail in creating a comfortable and natural environment for the animals is truly commendable, as it shows their commitment to animal welfare. This dedication extends beyond just cows and chickens, as they also consider the well-being of smaller animals like rabbits. To tell the truth, these practices are strict, ultimately ensuring that all farmers are held to the same high standards of animal welfare and environmental sustainability, which is detrimental to small-scale farmers. The situation unfolding in Oregon right now is a complete injustice, with those in power causing small-scale farmers to shut down their operations. This is essentially stealing the rights of every Oregonian. Under the guise of enforcing laws meant for large-scale operations and protecting groundwater, this unjust behavior is tearing apart the fabric of the Oregon community. It's a heartbreaking scenario that not only takes away livelihoods, but also undermines the very essence of being part of this community. The repercussions of these actions are extensive and concerning, as they risk destabilizing the harmony of livelihoods and values that unite the community. Why is the government seizing control over the farms? Are these policies meant to protect or exploit? These policies are being strategically crafted to manipulate definitions in a way that serves the agenda of the authorities and their financial backers. As a result, the consumers who rely on small farms for their supply of fresh produce and meat are the ones facing the negative consequences of these manipulations. The impact of these policies extends beyond just the farmers themselves, reaching individuals and families who appreciate the quality and authenticity of locally sourced products. It is troubling to witness how these policies prioritize the interests of a select few while neglecting the needs and preferences of the wider community. This disregard for the well-being of consumers and the integrity of locally sourced products raises concerns about the ethical implications of such actions. The manipulation of definitions to align with a specific agenda not only undermines the trust in the agricultural industry, but also threatens the sustainability of small farms and the availability of fresh, high-quality products for consumers. Meanwhile, various states throughout the country are closely monitoring the situation, meticulously taking notes and eagerly anticipating how this evolving scenario will unfold. As these events progress, these states are eagerly awaiting the outcome. Once everything is settled and a clear result is evident, you can be certain that these states will promptly follow suit, eagerly enacting similar policies within their jurisdictions. It is a common occurrence in politics that when one state dares to push the boundaries with a bold policy if it goes unchallenged or unnoticed, it is only a matter of time before other states eagerly join in and adopt comparable measures. The repercussions of such actions can significantly impact the legislative landscape of our nation as a whole, influencing the future of policy and governance for years to come. This is where it gets worse. The issue of government overreach in dictating land and water usage goes beyond agriculture. It poses a threat to the very essence of our fundamental freedoms and rights. When governments exceed their authority and impose restrictions on how land and water resources are utilized, they are treading on dangerous ground, paving the way for a potential descent into tyranny. The implications of such actions extend far beyond the agricultural sector. They infringe upon our basic human rights, stifling our ability to make choices and decisions about our own lives and livelihoods. By dictating how land and water should be used, governments are encroaching upon our autonomy and limiting our freedom to determine our paths. However, amidst the turmoil and uncertainty caused by these overreaching measures, there is a glimmer of hope. People are becoming increasingly aware of the harsh reality and are rallying to support small farmers who bear the brunt of these restrictions. These farmers are not just mere business operators, they are the backbone of our communities. If the government has the best interests of small-scale Oregon farmers at heart, there are actions worth taking that will make things easier. One potential action to address this issue is to thoroughly reevaluate the regulatory definitions in place, specifically focusing on the expanded definition of concentrated animal feeding operations, CAFOs. This reevaluation could involve consulting with experts in the field, conducting thorough research on the impact of the current definition on small farmers, and considering alternative definitions that would not place such a significant burden on smaller agricultural operations. By taking this step, policymakers can ensure that regulations are fair and equitable for all farmers, regardless of their size or scale of operation. Additionally, this reevaluation process could lead to the development of more tailored regulations that better meet the needs of both small farmers and the broader agricultural industry. Another is that the government should prioritize addressing the stringent water usage restrictions that have been imposed, as these have significantly impacted the ability of small farmers to effectively irrigate their crops. Policymakers must recognize the public resource nature of groundwater and the essential role it plays in supporting agricultural livelihoods. By taking proactive measures to mitigate these restrictions, the government can help ensure the sustainability and productivity of small-scale farming operations, ultimately benefiting the overall food security and economy of the region. Furthermore, the government should prioritize the provision of legal assistance and financial aid to support small-scale farmers in navigating new regulations and acquiring necessary water rights. By offering targeted support in these areas, policymakers can ensure that farmers can effectively comply with evolving requirements while also protecting their access to vital water resources. This assistance can help to level the playing field for small-scale farmers, who may face unique challenges in meeting regulatory standards and securing their water rights. Ultimately, by investing in the success of small-scale farmers, the government can promote sustainable agricultural practices and safeguard the livelihoods of those who play a crucial role in our food system. The government also should provide financial support in the form of grants, loans, and technical assistance to farmers looking to adopt sustainable farming practices and contribute to the development of local food systems. By offering grants, farmers can access funding to invest in environmentally friendly farming methods and technologies. Loans can help cover the upfront costs of transitioning to sustainable practices, while technical assistance can provide guidance and expertise to ensure successful implementation. Supporting sustainable agriculture not only benefits the environment, but also strengthens local economies and promotes healthier food options for communities. Finally, the government plays a crucial role in supporting legislative and policy proposals that benefit small and mid-sized farms. By implementing measures such as providing financial assistance, offering tax incentives, and creating regulatory frameworks that are favorable to family farms, the government can help these agricultural businesses thrive and contribute to the economy. Additionally, organizing events to raise awareness and garner support for family farms can help educate the public about the challenges they face and the importance of supporting local, sustainable agriculture. By actively supporting and promoting the interests of small and mid-sized farms, the government can help ensure the long-term success and viability of family-owned agricultural operations. It's amazing to know that small farmers play a vital role in our society, supplying us with sustenance, nourishment, and a deep connection to the land that sustains us. Their work goes beyond mere transactions. It forges a profound bond between us and the earth. reminding us of our interconnectedness and dependence on the natural world. By standing together in solidarity with these farmers, we are not only supporting their cause, but also defending our rights and freedoms. By ensuring that they can continue their labor for generations to come, we are safeguarding our ability to benefit from their hard work and dedication. In this fight against government overreach, we are not just advocating for the rights of farmers, we are fighting for the preservation of our liberties. By recognizing the importance of small farmers and the vital role they play in our communities, we are taking a stand against the encroachment of authority and the erosion of our basic human rights. What do you think is the reason the government is imposing CAFOs on small-scale farmers? If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below. Subscribe and turn on your notification bell for more videos.